everyone. Welcome to my channel. My channel is Along the Way, and I am Chris Brandt. And this video is going to be about intermittent fasting and how that has worked for me and why I chose intermittent fasting. So come along with me and I'll share how things have worked for me. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not any of that. I just know what I wanted to do for my health. And I kind of researched some different things. I heard about the carnivore diet. I heard about, there's all the drops and the pills and the shots and the things like that. And I knew I didn't want to do anything in that matter. This is my little doobie to turn on and off. I knew I didn't want to do any supplemental. I really didn't want to do any kind of shots or drops or pills or anything like that. I wanted it to be a whole food kind of diet, or eating plan, however you want to. Diet isn't really something that should be a 4-letter word. It's everybody has a diet. Everybody eats a certain way. So whether it's a good diet, a bad diet, whatever, it's all in what you want in your life. So my last video prior to this was all about I quit alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol. And that, first and foremost, was one of the best things I ever did. My husband and I are now in our 6th month of alcohol-free, and that has really been a game changer. With we both wanted to lose weight, wanted to get healthier in our diet and all of that, and you just can't do it when we couldn't. I'm not going to say everyone, because I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but myself and my husband, and how this has worked for us. I like vegetables and fruits and fresh, and that's the types of food that I like to eat in the first place. And with drinking alcohol at the same time, it was kind of like we were doing this kind of magnet thing, where the wrong sides of the magnet, you're doing this all day, and then at night you're doing this, and so I tried intermittent fasting several times before it really clicked with me. And I just think it was that I wasn't there yet. I wasn't at that point yet to where it was going to click and work for me. So that to me is one of the main things. You have to be ready. That has to be what you're really, 100%. So my husband and I, in my video about no more alcohol, I said we were both, at the end of December this year, we were both ready. We were going to do a dry January, which we had done before, and then back February we're back at it again, so I had kind of made the commitment in my mind that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to continue and continue and continue. So, and my husband was the same way. He's like, yep, let's do it. We're just gonna, if we're gonna make that, we're gonna do it. So we decided that we wanted to make a diet change, and we wanted to quit alcohol. So instead of trying to do it all at once, which is what we did before, and that's when you tend to fail when you try to do too many changes at one time. One of my other previous videos that I did is about habits and changing habits one at a time. You have to change things one at a time, which this was 100% that. So we went 30 days no alcohol before we actually incorporated in the intermittent fasting. My husband had done intermittent fasting a few years ago, and it worked great. He was able to do, I tried it, and it didn't work. And I don't think I was doing it as successful as I am now, because it just didn't work. So we did 30 days we got rid of the alcohol for 30 days, and then we incorporated in the intermittent fasting. So there are different levels of intermittent fasting. There are different types that you can do. First of all, I'd like to say if you're wanting to do something like this, always check with your doctor first, because especially if you have any health concerns right now or whatever. My husband and I did not. We were both, we're not on any kind of medications for anything. We're not, we're pretty active. But I had just turned 60 years old, and we moved to a new house. We moved to a new area out of state where we were before. And so we had made some other changes. And this was just something that was there. It's one of those lingering things that, it's just there. And it's a hard thing. It's like smoking. You smoke cigarettes, and it's a hard thing to cut that out. So we had to do baby steps, as I say. So a couple years ago, or last year at least, I think it was last year, I really started looking into intermittent fasting. And I'm a Christian, and in the Bible it talks about fasting all the time, and that kind of spoke to me this last time before we started this. So I had gone on to Audible books, and I listened to a book about intermittent fasting for women over 50. Okay, so I never realized that to do this type of thing, there are different, at different ages, you need to know how that's going to work with your body. So it's not an across the line, broad kind of thing that if you want to do intermittent fasting, everybody does the same way. That's not true. So that was a first eye opener that over 50, over 60, everything changes. And our bodies, female bodies, change when you have a child, you go through childbirth, everything changes. When you go through menopause, everything changes. And then when you're through menopause, after menopause, your body has changed again. So that's going to be my first thing to tell anybody that's really wanting to do this is find some information, credible information that can help you know whatever age you're at and you're trying to do this, because it really does give you information about how your body is going to accept this and things that you can do. Because I never realized in this book, I listened to this book on Audible, and then I thought, I want it in print. I want to be able to go back and reference it, and I have, and I actually have a thing here now, but I'm not endorsing this in any way, but this is just the book that helped me. And there are other ones that say over 60, so find something that you can reference that will help you. That would be a suggestion that I would have. But I never realized that sometimes it says that sometimes exercise for women too much can counteract what you're losing weight. Mind blowing. I didn't know that. I didn't have any idea about that, but that's just what they said in here. And it's kind of true for me. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it was kind of true, because I thought, oh, I got to go out and walk, and I got to do this, and I got to make sure of that, and no, it's like you have to really, diet is so, it can be so confusing, just learning how the body works and all of that. So this book really did help me a lot. And one of the things I have here is there are women-specific methods of intermittent fasting. So I don't know if everyone that's listening is even familiar with this, but it's pretty easy for me, especially I'm not one that has to get up and have breakfast and lunch and dinner, and I don't need to have the 3 meals a day and all of that. So there were certain methods in here that really spoke to me. The one that I typically use is either an 18-6 or I will certain several days of the week I will do a 20 and a 4. So that means that I fast for 20 hours and I give myself a 4-hour window to eat. Or I fast for 18 hours and I give myself a 6-hour window to eat. I know that initially that sounds like, oh gosh, you don't eat for 20 hours, you don't eat for 18 hours. Part of that I'm sleeping. There's an 8 to 10 hour window there that I'm sleeping. And that was another thing, getting enough rest, sleeping, allowing your body to rest and rejuvenate itself. That's very important. So 8 to 10 hours of my fast is I'm sleeping. And then I get up in the morning and the whole thing of breakfast, okay, think about that word. It's a break fast. It's 2 words together, break and fast. It's when you decide to break your fast. And typically, like I will say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I usually will do an 18-6, which that means that I get up in the morning, and I usually get up around 6:30 in the morning, and I won't eat anything then until about 11. I do drink coffee. So that kind of, and then I'm just going about my time. And then about 11, 12 o'clock, that's when I will, go in and eat something. But then it's what you choose to break your fast with. So you don't want to break your fast with something, a piece of cake or, a donut or anything like that. You want to make sure that it is a healthy type of food that you're going to break your fast with. Okay. So you want to have fruit. I have nuts. I have almonds, walnuts. Those are really good for me. Or I will make a breakfast. I will make like some eggs and avocado and, just kind of incorporate that. It's all about finding what works for you, basically, is what. And then that's my 6-hour window. And I typically will not eat after 6 o'clock. If I have to, it may not be after 7. And that's really important. I've heard that for so many years about don't eat after 7 o'clock. And I didn't. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's okay. So that's my whole evening. I can't have my popcorn. I can't have. But it makes sense. It made sense to me once I started doing this. We have to have a time for our bodies to process and filter everything that we've put into it throughout the day. Okay. So, and if you eat something at 10 o'clock at night, then you're going to go to bed, and that's going to, a lot of times, whatever we choose to eat may turn to sugar or turn to fat, or, your body doesn't have time to process that the way if you stop at 6 o'clock, what you've eaten earlier. And I'm going to be very honest. You have to eat healthier foods. We have to eat. I eat salads. I eat chicken. I eat. It has to be protein and vegetables and fruits that, and incorporate that. And that took some time for me to research and find out what was going to work for me, what foods I like, what foods I don't. So I don't do fast food. I don't go through fast food restaurants. If I do, it's very, very, it's like there's nothing else in sight. But my husband and I were just talking, and I don't think we've had fast food for well over a year now. So that is a big component. The going through the fast food lines and grabbing that, and then even processed foods. I try very, very hard to stay away from any processed food. I try to stick more with the organic. As much as I possibly can. And I know I've heard so many people saying that, it's just so expensive. And, I always go back to medication is very expensive. to be on cholesterol medicine and to be on this and to be on that. That's expensive too. So I would prefer to put healthy things into my body to begin with than to have, to have to be on medication to elevate or to sustain or to, balance out or whatever. I would prefer to eat the green vegetables and the fruits and the nuts and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I am with the whole cost thing. Everything's expensive for one thing, but it's expensive to go through fast food anymore either. I see people posting how, oh, we went through this restaurant that used to be this much and now it's, $20 for two people or $50 for a family or whatever. I would prefer to go to a sit-down restaurant that serves good, healthy food. And that's just me. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just sharing with anybody who might be thinking the same way I was, oh, I really want to do this. I really want to do that. If you're on medication, like I said, talk to your doctor first and see how that, and do your research for sure. Make sure that you understand what's all involved, because if you cut things out that your body really needs, that's the thing. Everybody thinks that, and I was guilty of this too, that carbs are bad. Carbs are, but there are good carbs, and our bodies need carbs, but they need the right kind of carbs. They need protein. They need, they need fat, but they need the good fat, not the bad fat. And it's like going through a class and trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I don't want to be a nutritionist. I just want to learn how to eat right and do things right for my body. And then just moving. Exercise doesn't have to be a gym membership. It can be if that's what keeps you going and doing it. If that's what keeps you on track, then do that, but it's not necessary. Just moving your body. Many years ago, I'm probably dating myself, but Richard Simmons was one of my favorite people to watch. And that was what he said. He said, you don't have to do anything. You just have to get up and move your body, dance. If you like dancing, dance. Do that dance for 15 minutes in your living room. Turn on some music and dance, and get your hands up and get things moving. That's all. And you just got to get your blood pumping and get everything moving and keep your heart pumping. My husband and I walk, but I don't walk as much as he does. I try to get in at least 5,000 steps a day. That way I know that I'm, but usually it's a little more than that. Sometimes it's a lot more than that, depending on what I've been doing. But of course, with the weather changing and getting nicer and everything, I'll probably be more steps. But that was one of the first things we did when we first moved here to Missouri, and this new beautiful community, I challenged myself. That was one of the first things, to start walking every day. And I challenged myself to 10,000 steps a day, which was a lot easier to get than I thought. So I was proud of myself, but I haven't. That's not my challenge now. It's just a matter of, if I don't get in, there are days that I'm in my craft room and I'm sewing and I'm sitting and I'm just, not moving around, but from the cutting table to the sewing machine, I don't get as many steps in. But when I go to a store or go shopping or groceries or whatever, I intentionally park out farther. I don't try to get those close spots, because that's going to force me to have to then walk a little bit farther and get more steps and, be active. So back to the intermittent fasting. You just have to find what plan is right for you, what your age is. So there is, you can do alternate fasting days. You can fast for a day and not the next day. And But you still, the one thing that I really want to stress is that you need to make sure that you're putting healthy things into your body. Um, so instead of a donut in the morning, do some peanut butter, and, just, it's a thought process too. It's a planning a little bit. Meal prepping does not have to be a ton of work. And usually I'll do like one day where I open my grill and I'll put chicken thighs on there. I'll do hamburgers, turkey burgers, anything like that. And then I have that ready for the week. So we can just kind of grab that out. I do make other dinners and things, and but I try to have lettuce and vegetables and things like that. We do. I like to do quinoa. I'll put that in my salad. It's a really good way to get an additional something if you put it on your salad, and then you're just eating that, and it's part of the salad. We put chicken. I do taco salads a lot. Those are fun, and that's healthy because I'm using ground beef, but I'm using either grass-fed or an organic, or I'll use turkey burger. I'll use a ground turkey, and then I just put a healthy taco seasoning. I try to mix up my own with because sometimes when you buy a taco seasoning at the store, it's got other things put in there that you really don't have to have in there. There's just certain seasonings that need to be in there for taco. But, sometimes it's like if that's the worst, is a little bit of the taco seasoning is not, everything else is going to be fine. You're getting your greens, and then we also have organic corn chips that we'll crunch up and we'll put in there. You can put some avocado, or you can get a good healthy guacamole and put in there. It's just a planning kind of a thing. But I take a vitamin in the evening for myself, for my age. It's just kind of a multivitamin that I take. Other than that, I'm not on any other kind of medication, and I pray that I don't ever have to be. That's what I'm trying to eliminate from, by doing this. And I have a lot of things I want to be around for. I have a new grandson. I've got my children, my husband. I've got a lot of things I want to do still in my life. And I will forever say, I read this probably on Facebook or something, but I read this and it said, I have more years behind me than ahead of me. So I am going to cherish every single day that I have going forward. I just turned 61, and I don't feel 61. I feel, it's one of those things that I feel young, and then I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, you don't look the same as what you did before. But that's okay, because I'm embracing my gray hair. I'm embracing my 60s. I'm embracing everything that I possibly can in my life right now. And every single day is a blessing from God. Every single day that I wake up and I'm still able to do all the things that I want to do. My husband and I, we've lost some friends, and it's just, I don't, it's hard when you get to be an age where things like that start happening, and you're just like, oh, I want to do everything that I possibly can in my power to, keep myself going. And intermittent fasting, it allows me to eat. I don't feel like I am dieting in the way. I don't feel like I am depriving myself of anything. I've just kind of flipped things to, I want to find the healthy route to sweets. And, I've started, dates are another one of my favorites. Dates with peanut butter, and you can put some dark chocolate on there with a little bit of sea salt. It's just such a great snack, and it's a good, it helps me to to fulfill that sweet tooth. My husband and I, we didn't eat a whole lot of sugar anyway. He had hypoglycemia, I guess, for a while, and so that was cut out from him a long time ago. And I just kind of incorporated that as well. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and eat sugary stuff when he doesn't. So that wasn't really a hard thing for me, but I know if you have a major sweet tooth, which we all get it at some point, but some people I'm more of a savory. I like savory foods. So that's kind of my thing, the salty savory, but that's bad too. You can't have too much salt either. So it's all in finding something that's going to speak to you. As far as I know several people I've spoke to that they started doing the carnivore diet. Totally cool. If that's what works for you and that's what you love, if that's what's helping you. I just know that at the beginning of this whole thing, 6 months ago, within the 6 months, I've lost about 26 pounds. So, and I don't feel like I've deprived myself of anything along that way. So it's worked for me. And like I said, I have read a lot about this. It's taken me, it wasn't overnight. So I purchased this book. I listened to it a year ago, and it just spoke to me this last December or January when I started reading about it again. I thought, I'm going to pull this out and, dust it off and get going. But yeah, this book then, it breaks it down. And this is over 50 because at that time I was over 50. Now I'm over 60, so I'm wondering if I should order something or get something else that says over 60, because there might be certain things that I need to be doing that, I didn't. But it really does break it down. How does it work? What do you do? How does it? So there are different, there's a 14-10 where you would, give yourself a 10-hour window to eat and you fast for 14. There's an alternate day that you can do. There's a 12 and 12. So I just really liked the 18-6. Actually, it says 16-8. So you fast for 16 and you allow your window to eat 8. And then I also do, like I said, a couple days of the week. I do the 20, fast for 20, eat for 4. And you just have to find what works for you. I just wanted to share this with you because I feel so good. I sleep good. I get a full 8 to 10 hours of sleep. I feel rested in the morning. I'm not getting up 3 or 4 times during the night to go to the bathroom. So that's been great. Depending on, because I do drink a lot of water, I do that. So depending on how late it was that I drank my last big bunch of water, I may have to get up once. But I pretty much, my rest is, my sleep is pretty restful. So does that make sense? And then I'm up usually between 6:30 in the morning, and I'm starting my day. Some nights we go to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock, 9, just kind of depends. Go to bed when I feel tired. And just the things that we're doing now, we feel so much more productive with what we're, our daily things that we're doing feel very productive. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you've tried intermittent fasting or if you're doing it and it's working for you, I'd love to hear about it. You might have some tips for me with my age and all of that. But if this is something that you've been teetering about, I know it's really out there right now, the fasting, intermittent fasting, all of that. I would love to hear if this has worked for you or if it's something that you think or what your thoughts are. Positive only, please. If you have questions, I don't know that I can answer many questions, but I can refer you to the book. But I would love to know if you have been at my channel before and you've already subscribed and you've liked it. I appreciate that so much. I have more things coming. I plan on doing some cooking things. I'm going to start making my own sourdough bread, because sourdough bread, believe me, I eat bread. I love bread. So we have gotten hooked on the sourdough bread. That seems to be a little healthier. So I'm going to kind of start making my own. So I have a setup going where I'm going to get the starter stuff going for that. And I'd love to have you come along with me on that. I appreciate you being here so much. And if you haven't, my dogs are going to bark. I think somebody's at the door. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button. And I will see you on the next video. I do have another one planned, possibly in the next couple days, just talking about getting older. Have a great day. Thanks so much, and I appreciate you. God bless.